let's go.
All right, welcome back, folks, to another exciting and enthralling episode of the 8 Fundamental Pillars of Business Marketing. I'm here with my good friend, Dave SHILLITO, friend, coach, mentor. And today we're going to talk about pillar number 3. So, Dave,
that's number 3.
Over to you about pillar number 3.
Okay, well, pillar number 3 of the 8 Fundamental Pillars of Business Marketing, is the USP, Unique Selling Proposition. Now, before you all switch off and you think you know what a USP is, I have some interesting things to say about USP, so hang around, stick around, and you never know, you might find a few turns of phrase, a few ideas that you can embed in your own syntax, and that when people are talking about USPs and out it will come, and a few examples you may be able to use in your own life or be able to relate to. So let's go right back to basics here. Why? I'm sure people have heard that, you know, there's only a certain number of businesses survive beyond a certain time, and the government will tell us that this has got something to do with the lack of funding or stagnant growth or legislation and taxes or what have you. But here's my question: what do you think would be the new paradigm if we accepted as a fact that almost all of those failures are because they're all trying to sell something that can't be sold? All those businesses, all that effort, all that energy, all those hopes and dreams and goals, desires and ambitions and fears of all those business owners dashed on the rocks because they're all trying to sell something that just simply can't be sold, right? They're all trying to sell the same thing. Yeah, I know, diversified businesses and services, a lot of diversification out there. I know it's a broad statement. Dave, how can they all be trying to sell the same thing? Yeah, all those failed businesses are trying to sell the same thing. And not only that, I'll go further and say that it's a thing that can't be sold. So how crazy a situation is it? Don't worry, this is going somewhere. How crazy a situation is it where all those failed businesses are all trying to sell the same thing, and that same thing they're all trying to sell actually can't be sold, right? So what is this one thing almost every failed business is trying to sell? And even businesses that are teeter-tottering on the edge or just bobbing along, they're all doing the same thing. They're all trying to sell the same thing, and the same thing that just simply can't be sold. And that thing that can't be sold is sameness. Sameness. You cannot sell sameness. You can only sell difference. If your viewers take one thing away from this presentation, I want you to embed that in your consciousness, in your syntax, and regurgitate that whenever it is you find yourself selling sameness. You cannot sell sameness. You can only sell difference. When you think about it, the difference between what your product or service is or does and everything else out there is the only thing you can sell. You can't sell your stuff on the basis of how similar it is or how much the same it is to other offerings in your field. You can only sell the differences. This is what their thing does, but this is what our thing does. You see, you cannot sell sameness. You can only sell difference. So here's the thing of it, right? When you're in business, there are at least two major separate entities who are constantly trying to turn you into a commodity. They actually want you and your business and your service to be a commodity. It's in their interests for you to be a commodity, for you not to stand out. They all want to make sure, or they want to position you as nothing special, so you can be easily dismissed as an option. Two distinct entities. The first entity is your competitor, of course. Your competitor wants to make out that you are just the same as everybody else. That makes sense, doesn't it?
Yes.
It's not in their advantage to say, oh yeah, they're special. They want to make out that you're just the same as everybody else. And if you don't actually have a unique selling proposition, you're making it easy for your competition to marginalize your advantage, if you've got one, to sideline your distinction, if you've got one, and to totally negate your differentiation, if you've got any, right? It's in your competitors' interests not only to tell your customer, why your fictional USP doesn't really matter, but why it doesn't matter. So if you have what you believe is as a unique selling proposition, and it's something to do with how long our business has been established, or the fact that we're a family firm, or the fact that we have outstanding world-class customer service, as we'll find out later on in this presentation, those things don't mean a goddamn thing. They are not unique. Here's the litmus. If any other business can claim what you're saying about yourself as being unique, it's not unique. Duh. Right? So there we are. It's in your competitors' interests, not only to tell your customer why your USP, if you've got one, doesn't matter, but also why it doesn't matter. Why it doesn't matter. So let me ask your audience right now, today, right here in real time, do you have a genuinely unique, as in nobody else can claim it, a genuinely unique selling proposition? Or is it just some lame benefit list that any competitor could claim? A lot of people think they've got a unique selling proposition, and they don't, actually, which was proven. There's a guy called James Allen, works for a company called Bain & Co. And they did a survey, and 80% of companies believed that they had a superior proposition, something that made them stand apart from everybody else, which is great and fine and dandy, isn't it? 8 out of 10 think that they're unique. But here's the thing of it. Only 8% of their customers agree. No.
Wow.
You know, so it wasn't. When it was pressure tested, their customers didn't actually think what they were selling was unique, even though they did. So a weak or non-existent unique selling proposition is going to ruin your conversions. You're going to lose sales left and right, and it's going to negate all your other marketing efforts, because, as we've said before, you know, marketing is about shouting from the hilltops about what's different about you. And this is what gets strangers to put their hand in the air. So a clear, strong, succinct, customer-focused, unique selling proposition is going to boost conversions. It's going to create a tribe, right, out of those people whose problem your solution speaks directly into. So rather than deep diving on this training about getting involved in the conversation already going on in your customer's head, so if you were selling washing machines, then the conversation you want to get involved in that's already going on in your new customer's head is, I need a new washing machine because my old one's broken down, right? Most people are selling in the Western world. Every household has a washing machine, and the only time you're in the market for a washing machine is when you're moving, remodeling, upgrading, or one's broken down, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So the conversation you need to get involved in is about, you know, this is the washing machine for you. This is the right price. Here's how easy peasy lemon squeeze it is to order. And this is how fast we can deliver the thing. And some social proof thrown in. You know, it's a risk you're taking. It's a few £100 you're spending. You don't know whether or not we're the right machine or the right vendors for you. I understand that concern. However, here's 500 other people who made the decision to buy from us and are happy, and here's what they have to say about us. That's social proof. And that's such a strong thing that is a pillar in and of itself. So that's something we will be talking about later on. Right, so there is a guy who is known as the godfather of direct selling. I don't know if that's true, but that's what he's known as. The godfather of direct response selling. His name's Dan Kennedy. And Dan Kennedy crafted a question that really every single business must be able to answer, right? On demand. If they want to stay in business, let alone thrive and grow, they have to be able to answer this question. And yet it's a question that so very few businesses can actually answer quickly and succinctly. Very, very, very few, without resorting to that, what we were saying before, this tired list of fuzzy, meaningless, so what, common as cheese features and benefits, right? So let me tell you what Dan Kennedy's question is. This question that you must be able to answer. If you don't, you're going to disappear into the vapid soup of mediocrity that you'll richly deserve because you can't bloody answer it. Excuse my French. Okay. So here's the question that you must be able to answer. Why? Why should a prospect do business with you as opposed to any and all other options? Why? Why should a prospect, once you've done the alchemy of bringing yourself and your business and your offers and services to the prospect's attention, and they've put the paw up and gone, yeah, I'm in the market for that. I'm in the market for a washing machine or a new shed or whatever it may be. Now you've got a few seconds to tell them why. Why should a prospect do business with you as opposed to any and all other options? That's the Dan Kennedy question. And if you can't answer that question on the hurry up, you'll always struggle, and there it is. So, okay. Let's say that you're in a queue of traffic and you've pulled up behind a van, and this van, the people of the business that this van belongs to are actually providing products and services that by some freak of nature you are actually in the market for, right? Strange. What a coincidence. So let's say, for instance, it's, I don't know, central heating or windows. Let's say windows. It's a UPVC window company, and they spent a lot of money badging up their van with, you know, this is our window company and yada, yada, yada. So for a few seconds, you're behind this van and you can see that they're a window company and they're local, and you're thinking, oh yeah, I need to get that fixed. I need to get that sorted, don't I? So who are these people? And in that moment, just saying who you are, what you do, and how people can get in touch with you is not enough. Wow. That is not enough. In this day and age, you cannot just advertise your existence. Can't be doing that. And yet this will be a viewer's experience, right? So next time anybody watching this pulls up behind a van, just pretend for a second that you're in the market for what they do. Just pretend. And then ask yourself the Dan Kennedy question. Okay, I can see what you do. I can see how to get in touch with you. But where's the reason why? You've got my attention for a few nanoseconds in traffic. Why? Why? Give me a reason. Why should I do business with this company as opposed to one that I could find on Yelp, or somebody who's given me their business card, or some other van that I pull up behind? Or why? Why? Give me a reason why. Why should I do business with you as opposed to any and all other options? And that's a really potent question. So potent that if you can't answer it, you're scuppered, right? And remember, one of those options is doing nothing.
Yes.
Doing nothing. So the question could be expanded to, why should a prospect do business with you as opposed to any and all other options, including doing nothing? And if you're selling in a competitive marketplace where you're trying to break in where other people are already established, so let's say you're selling photocopiers and you know that your prospect already has a photocopier that they got from somebody else or from another company. Now you're trying to dislodge an incumbent. That makes the question even more complicated. So not only now is it, why should a prospect do business with you as opposed to any and all other options, including doing nothing? Now you've got to bolt onto the end of that or staying with their current vendor, right? Why should they do business with you and stop doing business with the people that they were doing business with? Duh! This is why it's such a damned important question. Again, you cannot sell sameness. You can only sell difference. So what can you say? The people watching this, you may be thinking about getting into business. I mean, my company, my brand is Business Model Mastery. We run a live event called Entrepreneur School. It's actually Business Model Mastery Live, but it's affectionately known by people who've been through the process as Entrepreneur School. This isn't an advert for Entrepreneur School, but it's a 12-month program where we teach you to think entrepreneurially. So what can you say about your product or service that ideally no other company can say? It's one of the fundamental things that we go through. What's your unique selling proposition? What's unique about the selling proposition? This makes sense so far?
Yeah, makes absolute sense. Even I would do what you say next time I'm stuck in traffic. Look at a van. If it's on the market, find out why should I do business with them? Why?
Exactly so. And it's a game you can play. So, I play it myself when I pull up behind a van, or I see a sign or a company sign or something. The one thing that's missing is the reason why you should choose to do business with them as opposed to anybody else. Why? The customer is very sophisticated now, and there's an awful lot of choice. And this is why most businesses fail within the first 5 years, is because they're trying to sell sameness. They're not selling difference.
Have you got any examples, Dave, that you know of companies that use the difference angle as opposed to sameness?
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah. There's no doubt. Yeah, I'll definitely talk about that. Before I forget, I want to talk about an elegant tool, something that folks can think about. Advanced sales training. I've been a professional salesperson for 30 odd years, and all that sales training is useless without good marketing. We've already covered that, haven't we?
Yes, we did in the first pillar.
Yes. But the advanced sales training that I've been through teaches that knocking your competition is a bad move. It's a cheap shot. It just makes you look needy, right? So if you were a photocopier salesperson and you went into a prospect because the timing was right for them and they were thinking about getting a new photocopier, or theirs had broken and it was the second time they'd broken and they were no longer enchanted with their current vendor. So they brought in a new company, and you're getting the opportunity to quote and talk about your copiers. Knocking the competition, knocking the machine that's already installed, knocking the people who provided it or provided the lease or the finance or what have you is a cheap shot. It just makes you look needy. And, corporate buyers are quite in tune to this. They're looking out to see if you're going to knock the competition. So if the company buyer is quite sophisticated and they know all this stuff, right? So they're trying to get you to knock the competition.
They're expecting it in a way.
They're expecting it. Yeah, they're expecting you to sell against the competition because they're fully aware that, or they should be fully aware that you can't sell sameness. You can only sell difference. They're only interested in the differences. Not what your machine can do that this machine can already do. That's not what they're interested in. They want you to sell them the difference. Right? So if you are in that position and the buyer is trying to get you to talk down the competition, right? To talk against the competition, something that I was taught, which is a value that can be taken away from this training, is the response. And the response is something like this. Yep, they're a great company with great products, no doubt. But truth be told, what they do well, everyone does well. That is so elegant, don't you think?
Yeah.
You agree that they're a great company. You agree that they have great products. And then they say, but truth be told, what they do well, everyone does well. And then go back to talking about the difference between your product and their product. So that's just a little advanced sales tip for anybody there. How to get around this idea of not knocking the competition, but sidelining them. Yeah, they're great, but what they do well, everyone does well. However, see, then you just go straight back to talking about what sets your machine apart and your hopefully unique selling proposition. So Remember that magic formula. Don't bash the competition. Confirm they're a good company with good products, no doubt, and then say what they do well, everyone does well. So that leads us on to the second entity, right? The first one, who wants you to be seen as a commodity, who wants to sideline your advantage and make out that what you believe your USP is not that important to them. The first one's obviously your competition, but the second is your customer. Your customer also, they want to minimize your power. They want to talk up your weaknesses, and they want to talk down your uniqueness because they are sophisticated buyers many a time now. So they understand that, let's say if they want to buy a car, they know what the salesperson's tactics are likely to be. And so they want comebacks that are like, yeah, well, that's great, but that's not important to me. Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but that's not important to me. Right? This is a professional car salesperson's nightmare. And so this isn't a sales training course. But it's not about features and benefits, it's about matching features and matching benefits. So we discover what the person wants and then match what we've got to it and talk about nothing else. Anyway, so let's talk about the second entity, your customer, right? Yeah, your own customer wants the same as your competitor, strangely. They want to make out that you're all the same and your weak-ass USP doesn't matter to them because they've got a lot of choice. I can get the same thing down the road. Oh. These are all buying tactics from your customer, right? Now, I'm not saying all customers are that sophisticated. If your marketing is doing its job, you will get people coming through the door going, wow, here's my money, take my money. But most of the time, you know, there's competition and things need selling. So one way to combat this is to be, or to appear to be, a category of one. A category of one. So how do you do that? How do you appear to be a category of one if you are, in fact, operating in a commoditized industry? If you're in a commoditized vertical, what do you do? If what you're selling can actually, in truth, be bought anywhere, what do you do? It's all right selling something that's clearly and obviously unique, you know, Maserati. But what if you're selling sugar? What if you're selling pizza? You know, well, here's the thing: if you are tasked with coming up with marketing materials and a unique selling proposition for something which is in fact a commodity, let's use pizza as an example. You know, pizza is pizza, really, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
But it makes sense to now engineer and then shout about something else, not the thing. You shout about something else, but not your thing, right? Not in this case, not the pizza. What you think, something else your competition just simply cannot say about themselves, or they haven't thought of yet, right? So, delivering parcels. Delivering parcels is a commoditized industry, isn't it, Raj?
Very commoditized.
Lots of areas out there all delivering parcels. So if you're in that space, what you're saying about yourself, the USP that you're crafting, can't be about delivering parcels. Very difficult to say something unique about that. But it can. What can be unique is how you deliver the parcels, right? So FedEx have a very strong USP. I'm sure your viewers know what it is I'm about to say. They know that there's a massive market out there for having parcels delivered, but they also know that a very narrow band of the people companies who do have parcels delivered, out of all those that do, there are a very narrow band for whom next day delivery is really important. Right? You don't really care how much it costs. It's got to be there. So they came up with the unique selling proposition that if it absolutely positively has to be there overnight, there is only one choice: Federal Express. If it absolutely positively has to be there overnight, there are no alternatives. They guarantee next day delivery. Now that's interesting, isn't it? Because that's about how the service is provided, not about the service itself. Coming back to our pizza example, all right, making and selling pizza is pretty much a commoditized industry. So your unique selling proposition can't be about the pizza, can it? It can't be about the dough, or can't be about the ingredients. It has to be about something else. Again, maybe how the pizza is delivered. So Domino's came up with this unique selling proposition. They said, hey, we'll deliver hot, fresh pizza to your door in 30 minutes or less, or you don't pay. Hot, fresh pizza to your door in 30 minutes, or you don't pay. And of course, there were people all over going, really? I'm hungry for pizza. I don't want to wait in the usual 70 or 80 minutes. So let me understand this. Domino's are saying if they don't have hot, fresh pizza at my front door within 30 minutes, I don't have to pay for it? God damn. That was mad. Now, that unique selling proposition was thought up in 1984, Rajesh. 1984. And that was such a strong, unique selling proposition that Domino's were able to enter an already overcrowded market and become an empire, and they own sports teams now.
Oh.
Yeah, so they thought that up in 1984, and it was such a strong thing. They still now, to this day, they get people ringing up and saying, if I don't get the pizza in 30 minutes, is it free? And they actually dropped that U.S.P. in 1986. They stopped using it in 86, and people are still ringing up now because that's how much it resonated with people. I think now what they do is they say, okay, if we don't get you there, we'll give you $3 or £3 off your next bill. It's something like that. So it's not free, but they give you a discount. But that's not the point. So ideas for unique selling propositions, right? So if your viewers are sat there thinking, okay, well, this is great, Dave, but can you give us some ideas for crafting a unique selling proposition? You know, I'm a landscape gardener, or I'm whatever. So number one, it has to be unique, and of course it has to be measurable. So none of this fuzzy crap like we care more. Compared to whom? Or best customer service. How do you measure that? So there are lots and lots of different ways of crafting a USP, and there are lots of different unique selling propositions that you could consider. But here's the 30,000 foot view for brainstorming what your unique selling proposition could be. So when you're thinking about your product or your service, is it bigger than anybody else's? Is it smaller than anybody else's? Is it faster to use or to be delivered than anybody else's? Is it bigger? Is it smaller? Is it faster? There are others, you know, is it easier to use? So bigger, you know, is it bigger than anybody? Is it physically bigger? The thud factor, is it a bigger bundle? Right, so you'll get people like Virgin Media and BT and TalkTalk who are constantly trying. There's nothing special about phone services. You pick up the phone and speak to people. Duh. Can't be talking about that. So they use the art of bundling. Oh, if you buy your services from us, we'll bundle this, we'll bundle that. But this is about making your USP about something being bigger, adding things to the bundle. So it could be physically bigger, right? That could be a USP. It is with airliners, isn't it? It's the biggest jumbo jet ever. I don't know. Or it could be a bigger bundle. It could be more minutes if you're selling carrier airtime. It could be bigger because it's more comprehensive or more complete. You know, with our competitors, when you've bought that, that's just the start of your purchasing journey. Then you're going to need this, then you're going to need that. So let's say that you're selling cameras and you say, okay, well, normally if you're buying a camera from here, you would have to then buy a tripod from there and buy a camera case from here. But our offer is unique because with every camera that you buy, you also get a carry case and you get a tripod. It's bigger. It's a bundle. Bigger. It's more complete. So that's what I mean by making the USP about bigger, not necessarily physically bigger, but it could be a bigger bundle, more stuff, more comprehensive, more complete. Let's talk about making things smaller. That could be a unique selling proposition. Now, again, it could be something that's physically smaller, nano, or it could be more dense, or it could be more succinct, right? So if you're a professional copywriter, your USP could be less words, right? Use of the language being so precise, no fluff, no filler. Smaller could mean it's more compact. Smaller could mean it has less moving parts, right? That's just a thought. Selling something which would be physically complicated with many moving parts. If you said, our product only has 4 moving parts, people go, hey. I mean, if I said to you, Raj, I've this watch that I'm wearing only has 4 moving parts, you would go, what? Right? So, or it could be smaller, could mean less wordy, but you get the point. There's an awful lot more to a USP about things being smaller than just being physically smaller. It could be more dense, more succinct, more compact, less moving parts, less wordy, or what have you. Finally, let's talk about a USP being about something that's faster. Well, this could be literal. It could be faster to operate. It works quicker. Or it could be a higher frequency. Or like our parcel delivery and pizza example, it could be faster delivery. Have I just said that? Yeah. Faster delivery. So it could operate faster, could be operate at a higher frequency, or it could be delivered faster. Or it could be quicker to implement. Our competitors have something which is worthy, but you'll have to study the instructions for half an hour. But with ours, you'll be up and cutting your grass within 30 seconds. It's faster to implement. So, lawnmowers are a commodity. It's either mows the lawn or it doesn't. So if you're entering that space and selling lawn, that's just occurred to me, you're selling lawnmowers. Then the idea that something is up and ready and out of the box, it's faster to implement. We've all seen these. I'm not saying that this would work, but we've all seen these things where it's a small box and you get a hold of one handle and you pull it upwards and it basically builds itself as it comes out of the box. That's faster to implement. So let's wrap this up because I've been yakking for a while. Your USP, your unique selling proposition, is not a tagline, right? It's not a slogan.
Or a mission statement or anything like that.
Yeah, yes, that's right, or anything like that. So although a company like Zanussi, for instance, Zanussi crafted this utterly brilliant strapline, the appliance of science. Zanussi, the appliance of science, which is a double meaning thing, isn't it? It's about we're very scientific, our products are well crafted, and we've applied that scientific thinking to the appliance that we're selling, and also the appliance of science contains the word appliance, which is what white goods are. So that's very, very elegant. But no matter how elegant that may be, it's not a USP. So your USP can be a slogan, FedEx and Domino's, but not the other way around. So, Raj, finally, on this topic of unique selling propositions, what I'd say finally is that it is a quick down and dirty way if somebody wants to pull out a legal pad and start the process of crafting a USP for themselves. I mean, as I've said before, you fire up that Google machine and search on how to craft a USP, you'll get hundreds of thousands of people's opinions. These are just mine. This is just like a 5-step process for creating a USP, which you can go through, and at the end, a decent enough USP will drop out the bottom. So number 1, define your target audience. This is really important. Okay. So remember the FedEx, their target audience wasn't just companies that regularly ship parcels. Their target audience was companies who regularly ship parcels, but the speed of delivery is far more important than the cost. They couldn't care less how much it costs to send the parcel. What's important to them is that Wisconsin, this parcel has to be in Alabama tomorrow. That's the important thing.
The
So
urgency.
yes, that's right. So you define your target audience down to that kind of point. Secondly, then articulate their problem that you can solve. So again, these examples of the parcel delivered or the pizza, they're hungry, you can solve it. How you solve it. So express their problem, get involved in the conversation already going on in the head. I need a new photocopier. I'm hungry. This parcel needs to be across the country tomorrow. These are the problems that people want to overcome. So this is the conversation going on in their head. So you get involved in that and express the problem that your product or your service can solve. So that's the second. The third process would be to choose the most desirable outcome. So there may be a selection of outcomes that you could focus on, packaging or whatever but really you only need to focus on one thing. This is much like creating a lead magnet, which is something we may or may not talk about at another time. But the best lead magnets are one problem, one solution. And so that does make sense. It's, your USP really needs to speak into one thing, one problem, one solution. So choose the most desirable outcome and only talk about that from your customer's perspective. You need to define what your promise is, and then keep whittling it down to get to a few words, and then combine it and rework it and cut it down. So, it's all about chiseling. It's all about making it far more punchy. So you just keep rearranging the words and how you're expressing your USP until you land upon something that makes you go, ha, ha, ha. Until you finally come up with something that makes you grin, that makes you chuckle with how fiendishly, devilishly clever that is. So that would be my six-step process. I'm not saying I don't deviate from that. My students may at some stage. But defining your target audience, expressing their problem that you can solve, choosing one single most desirable outcome, defining your promise, and combining it, reworking it, and cutting it down so that it's expressed in a very short, as fewer words as possible. So that's really what I've got to say about USPs. I hope that's been useful to everybody watching.
It's been very useful. Thanks again, Dave. I've learned a lot as usual, especially about the unique selling proposition and the differences between various products and services that are commoditized and homogenous.
Yeah.
So it's a real eye opener. And like you said earlier, the government trots out these statistics, but it all comes down to crafting a unique selling proposition.
Yeah, we cannot sell sameness. We can only sell difference. So if your viewers want to take a handful of things away from this presentation. Number one, you cannot sell sameness. You can only sell difference. And number two would be the Dan Kennedy question. It's uncomfortable, I know, uncomfortable. But unless you can come up with a real good answer to this question, why? Why should somebody do business with you as opposed to any another? You're selling jewelry. Why should they buy yours? Why? Give people a reason why. It doesn't have to be about the jewelry. It could be about a discount or a one-time offer or an upsell or a cross-sell or the speed of delivery or whatever. But you have to give people a reason why. If they're in the market, which is a given, because if they're not in the market, they're not going to take any notice of your marketing and therefore never going to see your selling process. But on the assumption that somebody's in the market for what it is that you actually do or sell,
why?
So imagine, being pulled up behind a van that's got all this wording on, B. Blakely and Sons, high-class butchers. Why? Why should I buy my meat from you? Why? Give me a reason. Come on. Fail. They've spent thousands putting all this information on the side of the van and they've left out the one thing that's going to keep that business afloat and make it grow in the future. A reason. Why should somebody do business with you as opposed to any and all other options, including doing nothing or sticking with the original butcher? Really difficult question. Simple to ask, difficult to answer. So those are the two things that I hope people are going to take away from this presentation.
All right. Well, once again, thanks again, Dave, for giving us your time today. I hope the viewers enjoyed it. If you want to get in touch with Dave, we have got some more pillars to discuss.
Yeah.
However, but you can go to his website, daveshillito.com.
Yeah, go to davidshillito.com or just search on that crazy Google machine, that Tinterwebs thing that seems to be catching on, and business model mastery, and that will lead you down the path to my products and services, and see if this has been a sample. Maybe see if what I have to say resonates with you, and you never know, I might see you on the next entrepreneur school.
All right, with that, great. Thanks a lot, Dave. Until next time.
You're welcome, and yeah, we'll see you next time for the next pillar in the 8 pillars of business success.
That's great. Thanks a lot, Dave.
Cheers, folks. Bye-bye. Bye.